Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are setting the stage for what literally reads like a high-stakes historical thriller. But it's a story that reveals some seriously profound, timeless lessons on human character. We're going to unpack the incredible narrative of Daniel. He was a guy navigating this incredibly treacherous political landscape where survival usually meant compromising your values. But as we'll see from our source material today, Daniel chose a completely different path. So get ready, because this is absolutely a masterclass in courage, conviction, and what it truly takes to stand firm when the pressure is really on. Okay, let's dive into this. It's kind of the ultimate test, right? What do you do when doing the right thing could cost you absolutely everything? I mean, it's one thing to have principles when the sun is shining and everything's going your way. It is entirely another to hold on to those convictions when your very life is on the line. And that is the exact dilemma at the center of our story today. A man backed into a corner, forced to choose between his physical survival and his deepest convictions.
So let's get into part one, the cost of integrity.
To really understand Daniel's choice, we first have to look at the deeply unstable kingdom he lived in. He served there faithfully for decades, but it was this constantly shifting world. Kings came and went, leaders rose and fell, and loyalty, well, it just shifted with the wind. Officials were constantly competing for influence and wealth, but right in the middle of all that chaos stood Daniel's record. While literally everyone else was chasing power and looking for shortcuts, he pursued honesty. His record was totally flawless. No dishonesty, no deception, zero abuse of power, no hidden scandals. His reputation was so rock solid that it actually earned him the ultimate trust of the king, who was planning to place him in one of the highest positions in the entire empire. And ironically enough, that extraordinary trust became his absolute biggest problem. Which brings us to part two, setting the perfect trap. Because as you might guess, not everyone was celebrating Daniel's upcoming promotion. Jealous rival officials started watching him like a hawk. They were desperate to find some dirt, a mistake, any evidence of corruption. But they found absolutely nothing. So they realized if they were going to take Daniel down, they'd have to weaponize the one thing he would never compromise: his face. They engineered this masterfully calculated three-step political trap. Step one, they approached the king with a proposal specifically designed to stroke his ego, just completely appealing to his pride. Step two, they suggested a temporary 30-day law declaring that no one could pray to any god or person except the king himself. And step three, the kicker. Anyone who disobeyed would be thrown into a den of lions. The king, completely blind to their true motives and totally flattered by the whole thing, signed the decree. And just like that, the trap was set. It was legally inescapable. All right, part three, making the hard choice. So the decree becomes official, right? It's broadcasted throughout the entire kingdom. Can you imagine the immense societal and psychological pressure in that moment? Most people fully understood the deadly consequences of disobedience. And when you're faced with that kind of lethal threat, human nature typically leans right towards self-preservation. And honestly, the rationalizations are all incredibly tempting. Just bend a little. I mean, it's only for 30 days. What difference does a few weeks really make? Or just stay silent. Why risk everything and invite trouble? Or maybe just avoid the conflict. Just blend in for a bit. It is so easy and frankly quite reasonable to convince yourself to compromise just a little bit to survive. Because let's face it, it's always easy to do the right thing when there are zero consequences. But Daniel, he didn't choose any of those rationalizations. He heard the decree, he knew exactly what it meant, and he knew people were definitely watching. Yet when he went home, he made this remarkable, totally unyielding choice. He continued his exact daily routine. He opened his windows, he knelt down, and he prayed. He didn't do it to show off, and he wasn't trying to be some massive rebel. He did it simply because his principles weren't just habits. They were absolutely foundational to who he was as a human being. Now for part four, into the lion's den. The very moment Daniel knelt down, boom, the trap sprang shut. The waiting officials immediately rushed to report him. Now the king was devastated. He suddenly realized he'd been completely played. He actually spent the entire day desperately searching for some sort of legal loophole to save his most trusted advisor. But the law of the land could not be revoked. The sentence had to be carried out. As evening fell, Daniel was brought to the edge of the pit. The king, heavy-hearted, told Daniel he just really hoped his God would rescue him. Then a massive, heavy stone was rolled across the entrance, sealing the den. Darkness filled the chamber. Now I want you to just pause for a second. Imagine the pure, dramatic weight of that moment. Being locked in a pitch-black tomb, hearing the sounds and literally feeling the breath of hungry, powerful predators right beside you.
And this brilliantly illustrates one of the most profound lessons in our source material. Think about the most powerful man in the empire, the king. He's pacing in his luxurious palace, completely unable to sleep, refusing food, worried sick. He has absolutely zero peace. Then, think about Daniel. Trapped in darkness, literally surrounded by lethal predators, yet he is completely at peace. It shows us that true peace doesn't come from controlling your external circumstances, because let's be real, circumstances are rarely fully in our control. True peace comes from trusting in something greater than your current situation. Daniel had that. The king totally didn't.
At the very first light of dawn, the king practically sprints to the den. You can actually hear the desperation in his quote as his voice echoes through the morning air. "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God been able to rescue you from the lions?" There was this breathless silence. And then, a voice answered from the dark. Daniel was alive. The stone was moved, and Daniel emerged without a single scratch on him. No way, right? The impossible had happened, and the trap that was designed to completely destroy him instead became the ultimate testimony to his character. Which leads us to our final section, Part 5, the enduring lesson. Now that we've seen this incredible, dramatic narrative, let's pivot a bit and look at the underlying psychological framework of exactly why Daniel survived this, both mentally and spiritually. So the crucial point here is true integrity. It's defined as remaining the exact same person in difficult circumstances as you are in comfortable ones. Daniel understood this deeply. The sources tell us that character is really only revealed when principles become costly. I mean, anyone can hold values when they're free and easy, but true integrity, that is tested in the fire of adversity.
People heard the story of Daniel and just marveled, right? Asking how someone could possibly be so calm facing certain death. Well, the answer lies in the iceberg concept of courage. It's built on decades of small, daily acts of faithfulness. See, Daniel didn't just magically become brave overnight when a crisis hit. His courage was this massive, unseen foundation built over years of choosing honesty when dishonesty was easier, of choosing consistency when compromise was comfortable. He had already decided exactly what he believed long before the test ever arrived. And this ancient text is incredibly applicable to us today because lions' dens, they still exist. They might not contain literal roaring lions, but they look like intense workplace challenges, unfair criticism, major setbacks and disappointments, that constant everyday pressure to compromise your values just to get ahead, or maybe obstacles that just seem utterly impossible to overcome. These are the daily fears, the lonely moments where fear whispers that just giving up and surrendering would be so much easier. I really want to leave you with this powerful thought from the text. Sometimes the greatest victory is not escaping hardship, but remaining true to your values while walking through it. Daniel entered the den with his character totally intact, and he actually emerged with it strengthened. Look, we can't control the obstacles that are thrown in our path, and we certainly cannot predict the future, but we have absolute total control over our response and our character. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about this. Your own lion's den is gonna appear in some form or another. And when it does, will you choose compromise or will you choose integrity? The time to build that foundation isn't when the lions are circling. It's right now, in the small, daily choices you make every single day. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through Daniel's story, and keep building that unyielding character.